Today's postcard is alive with British history and heritage. It's from the Tower of London.
You're nicked.
It's a fair cop. It was in 1078 that William the Conqueror decided he wanted to build the Tower of London, although it probably wasn't called that then, but it was certainly called the White Tower, which is where it all began, just behind me. Did you know that the Tower of London isn't in London, but in Middlesex? The area surrounding the tower is known as the Tower Liberties. This is under the jurisdiction of the Tower of London and independent of the city. In the 14th century, the location of the boundary markers was firmly impressed on the minds of local boys, who were given a severe thrashing at each spot. These days, the ceremony is not quite so painful, and the beating of the bounds takes place on Ascension Day every 3 years, when local children, armed with willow wands, beat the boundary stones. Tales of murder and mystery here at the Tower of London. In there, the Wakefield Tower, is where King Henry VI was stabbed to death in the Wars of the Roses by, well, the same man who suffocated the princes here in the bloody tower. You know him, you got him, Richard III. I found myself a 100% munching, fully proteined beef eater. And his name's Mick Casson. Mick, beef eaters, where'd they get their name from?
They say it's because in the reign of Henry VIII we were paid in beef from the royal table. A rich commodity which we obviously thoroughly enjoyed.
And why are you only at the Tower of London and nowhere else?
We are warders. The full title is Yeoman Warders. Yeoman, freemen. We owe allegiance only to the Queen, and we ward the tower. So by the very nature of the name, we are here at the tower.
And Gilbert and Sullivan, of course.
And Gilbert and Sullivan, yeah.
Yeoman of the Guard.
We've got them on next year here, apparently, so...
And what do you eat?
Sausage, egg, bacon, and occasionally beef.
Thanks, Mick. And this is where Anne Boleyn met her doom. She, in fact, was executed by a French swordsman. He was brought over all the way from France because she had such a slender neck. She didn't want the axe, so she had a sword. And this place of execution was only for the nobility, so very few people were actually executed here. Apart from Queen Anne Boleyn, there was Margaret, Countess of Salisbury, the oldest person to be executed here, Queen Catherine Howard, another wife of Henry VIII, he really did get through them, Jane Viscountess Rochford, Lady Jane Grey, the uncrowned queen of just 9 days, Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex, Elizabeth I's favourite, and Lord Hastings was also executed round here. He was a great warrior lord from the Wars of the Roses. And this is the spot. Sir Walter Raleigh was imprisoned here for 12 years, and this was how he got his exercise, Raleigh's Walk. Not much space, but plenty of walking. And of course he had plenty of time in which to write his famous The History of the World. This is where they keep Britain's hot rocks, and these gents are the guardians of them. Following the execution of Charles I, Parliament ordered the coronation ornaments to be brought here from Westminster Abbey and the precious metals melted down for coinage. However, some of the original items reappeared at the restoration for Charles II's coronation. The lower half of St Edward's crown is thought to be made up from a medieval crown belonging to Edward the Confessor. And the sovereign sceptre, dating from 1661 and set with 393 gemstones, including the first star of Africa, the world's largest cut diamond. In 1674, the bones of 2 young children were found underneath this staircase. They were removed and placed in Westminster Abbey. It was thought they were the bones of the 2 princes who were murdered in the bloody tower. But were they the princes? Will we ever know?